Evening all. Okay, I'm with my good friend Chris. We had a few games from the Tau Memorial today in memory of Mikhail Tau, one of the most exciting attacking players ever in the history of the game. Hi Chris.
Yeah, Trifon, hi.
You're a fan of Mikhail Tau as well, aren't you? Yeah?
Yeah, sure. It's hard to be, hard not to be, right? Because the games are so attractive to play through and always so surprising. And I think there's the common misconception that he always had those incorrect attacks that could be refuted and so on. If you look at these games, I think it's very hard to find really the holes in those kind of combinations. And over the board, it was absolutely terrible to play him, I guess, with all those aggressive moves that he was able to come up with.
Yes, huge pressure.
So it's very nice to have this really well organized tournament in memory of him.
Yeah, and we had
I never had the privilege to meet him. It could have happened actually, because I played. He was living for a while, at least temporarily, in the 80s near my town here.
Oh.
Just a couple of kilometers away, because he played for the Bundesliga club there in Cologne, and he also took part in some of those open tournaments that they played. Really, not really his kind of, a bit out of his league, so to say, in just a normal open tournament. It was very nice, obviously, because I know a couple of people back then who actually met him, and he was really a super nice person who also always was analyzing with amateurs and playing blitz against kids and whatever.
Right.
So very approachable and likable person.
Yeah, because some GMs are quite aloof, aren't they? They don't really talk that much with the bunnies.
Yeah, and this really didn't apply to Tal at all. So yeah, nice to have this tournament, and we had a pretty how would you call it? Bloody first round with 4 victories.
Yeah.
Out of 40 sides of games, out of 5 games, so we've got 2 times more victories in 1 round than in the whole World Championship match.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think we decided to do a coverage of the tournament, and what we do is I think we'll pick 1 game for each round, unless there are 2 absolutely outstanding games. We might do it differently, but I think just 1 game to look at is a good choice.
So I think actually someone just requested me on ICC as well to check out Aronian against Nakamura, and that's, funny enough, is the game we thought was the most interesting game of the round today. So how did that play off? So Aronian was white. We've loaded it into the ICC. We have approximate move relay times. So Aronian white kicked off with C4. So a clash of styles, isn't it, between those two? Nakamura now the US champion, and Aronian, kind of solid, aggressive positional style.
Yeah, maybe, but Nakamura is not a one-trick pony. He's not only playing those wild tactical games. He can also do very nice things if he plays purely strategical. So
yes, we saw some of those. Some examples in the US Championship. Yeah. So against the English Opening, he elected E5.
Yeah, this is on the top level maybe the most popular response, to go to some sort of reverse Sicilian here.
Reverse Sicilian, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah. It's also a bit remarkable that Aronian played C4. He usually plays D4. In this match against Kramnik, he actually experimented a bit with E4. But he's played C4 in the past. Also knight F3 varies a bit, but let's say 80% of the time he's playing D4, and the other 20 he's playing something else. So here we got an English opening for a change. And I think it's a good choice actually to get a fighting position, because those kind of positions that we will also get in the game, they're not the kind of positions where white is getting a huge advantage, but tell me an opening where white gets one nowadays. What white gets is a playable position with lots of pieces on the board. And I think we should just go through a couple of moves to see what I'm talking about. So they all got their knights out here.
Oh, the four knights. English.
Yeah.
Is this called the English four knights by any chance?
Yeah, it is. It is. And now G3 is the main line, and now Nakamura elects to play the open Sicilian with colorless reverse. Basically, Black could also play Bishop B4 or C5. So, but we got an open Sicilian here, just colors reverse, and it's a dragon.
Yeah.
An important difference to the normal dragon with Black actually going for the fianchetto in the Sicilian is that Black here is basically forced to play knight to B6.
Right.
And
Because
this
it can't
is
play the
difference.
standard attack that you play as white against the dragon. It's a bit too slow.
Yeah, the problem is that white is just threatening D2 to D4 here.
If bishop
And,
e6, d4 here.
Yeah, and this is already critical for Black. It's difficult to get a good position now, or any position at all. What should Black do? You usually get something like this here, and it's difficult already for Black to suggest something. I actually got this in a tournament game like 2 years ago, and I was winning by move 12 or so.
What sort of feeder rating?
The opponent,
Yeah.
2,200.
Sorry?
2,200 about.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, he's somehow confused the move order, I guess.
Oh.
It's very, very difficult now. What should Black do now? So Black cannot really play a slow move here. Also stuff like, let's say,
If we revert back to the main line, sorry. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. If Black plays something like this, then knight e5 just wins immediately. These kind of tricks are in the position.
All right, knight takes c3 here. Is that?
Yeah, we've got those. Yeah, it's a typical
Knight takes c6.
eat-all combination, and white emerges with the pawn up at the end. Yeah, white has won a pawn.
Right. No, there's nothing for black here. Knight takes f2.
Yeah, you can try this, but maybe you can try this. I mean, white is better, but
Right.
maybe it's not winning a pawn.
Actually, knight takes b7 is winning the exchange with knight d6 check. Actually, that is bad. Yeah, that is pretty. Oh, sorry. Knight takes. Oh, it's getting complicated.
The rook is saying also.
Oh, sorry.
What
All right, we're going far off. All right, let's go back to the. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
We'll
We're making a 2-hour video on this. Don't do this.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So black needs to play this. And
Okay.
I think Nakamura spent about nothing of time for this. Okay. So we've got castles and bishop b7, I suppose. And what did Aronian play now? I only briefly let a look.
Yeah,
This is actually a slight surprise already, because by far the main move is a3 here.
Ah.
a3 b4 is the usual kind of procedure. White, of course, often plays d3 later, but very often it is considered to go b4 as quickly as possible to have this b5 idea. So this kind of idea to put pressure on the c6 knight and also on this pawn on e5.
Yeah.
So this is a bit rare, but certainly it's perfectly normal, played in thousands of games,
Yeah.
but not so common. Yeah, I guess castles.
Okay, and then we see bishop e3. So there's an intention maybe to use the c5 square later.
Yeah, exactly.
Usually isn't it knight e4 to c5, but you have to be careful about f5s from black. So also a3 and b4 to support something on c5. So black's using that white's using that c file outpost usually in this.
Yeah, it's a typical Sicilian strategy.
Yeah.
Contrary to lots of situations where white plays the open Sicilian, so with reversed colors, black has very little chance here to do something against white's king, like f4 and stuff, or f5 in this case. You can play this, but you can rarely get a kingside attack here.
Yeah.
What black usually tries is to centralize his pieces, and maybe after some preparation play a move like knight d4 here. This is what black likes to do.
Yeah.
To install a piece here and maybe provoke white to take at some point.
Oh yes, to get pressure down the e file, to have a pawn here,
Yeah,
space advantage,
exactly.
pressure on e2.
This is what you like to do, but I think this game progresses a little bit different. Let's see what happens.
So f5, rook c1, king h8, a3, pursuing the b4 plan, which not only supports maybe a piece, but also b5 is going to be dangerous for e5 if the knight's dislodged. So it's a dual purpose plan, I think. This, but bishop c5 first dislodges the rook from that potentially useful f file.
Yeah. And one little thing I'd like to point out just quickly, if black would play a5 here, which is often a common reaction to this a3 idea, or let's say a6 in the Sicilian, white often plays a4. Here, white can actually consider this kind of stuff, and then getting the knights on c4 and b5.
Right.
This can be very annoying for black, because it's hard to get rid of those two knights, and they will always put some pressure on b6, d6, and so on.
Yeah.
So black needs to be cautious with this a5 move.
Yeah.
And Nakamura also didn't play it. So this bishop f6 here.
I think I mentioned that on Chess Games.com just briefly. Because I did a dual commentary with Daniel King, and he in the Sicilian Najdorfs, he's giving up the protector of the light squares, sometimes the bishop, to get access to the dark squares. And here it seems if this bishop can sometimes be given up to get light square pressure, it's what happens in reverse.
Yeah, you just destroy black's queenside formation, and you make use of all these holes.
Yeah.
There are positions, of course, where black is completely okay after this move, but it's just something you need to reckon that white might take there. Okay, so it went differently though.
So rook e8, as though e4. It looks as though it's not really on the cards. E4, or is it? No, maybe it is a serious threat, e4, and maybe that's why white is interested to play e4 himself soon, but not immediately. But I think e4 is later played in this game. So here, okay, what if black does try e4? It looks, is it premature? Doesn't do anything. D-file.
Yeah, I think one. If you look at general considerations, white is much better developed, so it looks a bit risky to open it up. But of course you need to calculate. But I think white can just take, and doesn't he just win the pawn, or it's close to it? Maybe you should take a brief look here.
So taking like this, or
so what should black do now?
Say takes like that. I suppose rook queen takes d8 is quite dangerous, or
yeah, you can take, and what does black play now?
All right, so he has to take with either the bishop or knight. That looks very unpleasant.
Yeah, and then just
knight d2.
Oops, I keep.
Oh yeah, you've got a lock and key on e3 because of that bishop. Anyway.
Yeah, this thing is just lost. E4 gets lost.
Yeah,
now.
That's hopeless.
Yeah, it's just a premature opening of the position. Yeah,
Okay.
so better to get your pieces developed. Bishop e6.
Yep. Rook e1, which gives the idea that white might be choosing e4 to exert maybe pressure on e5. That might be an idea. And he does play it now, so he's potentially going to have the option of taking with pressure on e5 now, with maybe b5 as well, to put pressure on that e5 pawn.
Yeah, this kind of position is what I meant with that that c4, the English opening, can lead to very tense and fighting positions, because have a look. Just one pair of pawns is exchanged. No? It's not symmetrical, and you get it takes a while, but you get a very complicated and somewhat double-edged middle game, and this is exactly what we have here. Very difficult to play this position.
Yes, by the way, did you know that GM Igor Smirnov, you know that GM on YouTube, he does some very interesting videos, and actually he's gone through that recent World Championship match, finding some key moments, and some he cites where the tension was released too early. You know, the E takes D6 game, which was a draw after, where there was anyway, so sometimes tension being released too early is maybe, as well as the symmetrical pawn structures, why that match was quite dull, because they did release the tension a lot.
Yeah, this is possible.
But here there's so much tension. There's only, what's been exchanged off, not much. There's a huge amount of tension in this position.
Yeah, and they're very, there are a lot of possible changes in the pawn formation also. White could take on f5, black could take on e4, black could play f4. Okay, this looks shaky, but there are quite a couple of possibilities there, and they're all pieces on the board, so there's still potential to get some real attack with all pieces playing. So what did black play now? I think e4 is the move which is really interesting. It weakens d3 also. You need to of course take this into account, but you get some ideas against e5, as you already said. And you've got ideas maybe of taking on f5 and sort of clear e4 for a piece. So very interesting positional battle here.
Yeah, it seems a6 was designed to discourage b5, and when I was looking at this earlier, this position, this is one of the games, I thought, this idea of the sort of positional sack giving up the bishop, you could just imagine a fictional variation like this. You see white, knight h4 is ruled out because of that bishop, but otherwise it might be dangerous for the king and these light squares. But no, it's not working in this position.
But white can try to play on the light squares in this way, and I think he does so in the game. It's quite similar what happens.
Okay. So a6, and then so bishop h3 looks a weird move, doesn't it? Bishop h3 a little bit, but sets concrete problems for black, doesn't it? About this f5 now.
Yeah, it's certainly a bit strange looking, but. What is black supposed to do now? Maybe you're just threatening to transpose into some quite unpleasant position here. Let's say black. What does black play now? Maybe put it on the board. I only looked at this game very briefly, so I don't really know what he played. What did black play?
Black.
I can just
g6.
So he reacted. To this idea that I'm about to suggest. Let's say black would play some nothing move here. It's hard to do one. Let's say some stuff like this. It's doing nothing. Just to show. Maybe white can try to put up something like this and then install this knight here. Maybe then stuff like this. Put pressure on the e-file. But d6 also, of course, immediately. This kind of idea. I'm not sure. It gets some nice square here on e4.
Yes.
This might be one of the ideas of bishop h3. So he prevented this altogether with g6 to be able to recapture on f5 with a pawn. Okay.
So now we see bishop going back here. So it's sort of done a job there and it's come back almost. It's like maybe it's going to be useful for knight g5s or bishop g5 now.
Now that the dark squares are weakened by g6, so the bishop returns.
So queen g7, guarding maybe h6 and putting more support on e5 as well. Knight g5 is used, but the bishop has got a seemingly useful retreat, which it uses now. Now there wasn't a win of a pawn here because there'll be an attack on this pawn. Should we just show that? Takes. It's just attacking the knight here, so that's no good.
This knight is hanging, and also maybe f4 coming. So white just went back.
Now f4, very committal move. F4.
Black just avoided the draw here. Bishop e6. He could have repeated. So bishop e6 is just a repetition.
Hasn't white got anything else apart from?
No idea. I'm not saying that white is better. I mean, it's a very complicated position. It's hard to tell if white has got something better.
Black has got that bind on d4 now, with everything pointing at d4.
Yeah, it's difficult here
Yeah.
to see how white should change the pawn structure, because
Mm.
I mean, he doesn't want to take on f5. After g takes f, it just opens the g file and it doesn't help, so you cannot move the e-pawn. d4, as you pointed out, is very much controlled by all black's pieces, so how can white make any progress here? It's difficult, and white really isn't in a position to make any progress, then black is, of course, better, because I mean, he might be able to do something. When white isn't able to do anything, then the other player must be the one to call the shots here. Difficult to tell. I think Naka just, played for a win here, and it's interesting. It's an interesting position. It's no need to make a draw, really.
So f4. And then bishop takes b6. So we see this light square strategy, sort of like reverse Sicilian Najdorf idea of giving up the bishop to get more access to the other squares of the bishop you've just given up.
Also, just the only move here, but you're right. This gives chances to establish some play on the light squares, because this f4 move, of course, also this bishop.
Yeah, that bishop's great.
is now doing so. Yeah, it's not quite sure. Often those kind of pieces just point into thin air and do nothing. But at least you can imagine it doing something compared to the position where the pawn was back on f5.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Yep, I'm a bit busy. Sorry, I'll be back down soon. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, just...
Yeah, it happens. I'm not sure. I like white here, but this is just my first initial impression. It's complicated. I'm not sure that this was a good idea from black's point of view to play in this way.
Well, I think the bishop is useful for bishop e6, is it? So, for example, takes. You could play here. Well, d6 or bishop e6, maybe?
Yeah, at least this move.
Yeah, so
at least. I mean, if you another move that I would consider. No, this line was interesting. What I wanted to show is this here. Maybe also this move. I think this I would look also. This is at least it's an idea. If black takes now, you've got this d6.
Also, of course, rook c7 is a bit of a menace as well.
Yeah. I think black can actually handle this by playing e4. Stuff like this. So at the end, I think your bishop e6 is the better move.
Right. Okay.
Bishop e6 is better, yeah. What you pointed out. But it's hard to tolerate this knight, yeah. This is the problem. It's a very strong piece. And if black gives up his light squared bishops, then white's bishop on h3 might become really powerful.
Yeah.
It also can at any time return to g2 and use the long diagonal. So yeah, tough fight ahead here. What did black play? Rook d8 or something?
g5.
G5. Very direct. Yeah, very direct play.
Threatening to win a piece, so that has to be parried. Wow, bishop d7. Nice move, huh? It seems to be a very nice move, making use of that knight immediately.
Yeah.
So if queen takes, we have knight takes, which would win the exchange. So we'll just put that on the board. That would be winning the exchange. So what is... And if... Okay, so what does he play here? He played rook e6. Wow! I think I should have played through this game more than once. Sorry about that. I'll try and be more prepared for the next round. These moves are coming as a shock to me.
I knew that he, I mean, okay, you need to sack the exchange here, maybe. And what else could you play? But it's not quite sure how you should sack it.
Well,
at least it's not immediately obvious to me.
Yeah, because knight takes b6 is on the cards as well.
Yeah, okay, I mean, yeah, it is, but this looks...
Sorry?
Taking on b6 looks strange to me. Yeah, let's say he plays rook d8, yeah?
Yeah.
And this move now, this looks weird.
Yeah.
Isn't this weird? Let's say here, and what does white do now? And maybe you can do this. You always have f5 and I mean bishop f5, or you could maybe even take on c6.
Yeah.
But this looks a bit strange.
Yeah.
Somehow bishop f5 looks more natural to me, but might be wrong.
Mm.
Oh, very very difficult position. So let's check this again. Rook e6, okay. Yeah, it's hard to keep material here. You need to sacrifice material anyway, and I think Rook e6 gets rid of this annoying bishop at least.
Yeah, it's trying to get a rebound onto these light squares at attack.
Yeah, yeah. White's king is a bit weakened, of course, with the bishop missing. So this was the idea, I guess, to get some play on the light squares.
Mm. And it is taken. And now knight takes f6. Wow, a lot of transactions are occurring now. So
yeah, I think what Aronian does now is a very, very high class kind of
counter sacrifice, counter positional sacrifice now.
Yeah, he takes on c6 and plays queen a1. It's
amazing, amazing, isn't it? It's thematic often in the Sicilian dragon, isn't it? The exchange sacrifice.
Yeah, it is to get the central pawn, and this is of course very visually pleasing. This
Yes.
queen a1 move.
Yes. Wow. And
yeah, very nice. And also, I'm just looking. I just spotted a little point here. What did Black play now?
Oh yeah, if Rook d8, there's 95 knight f7, isn't there? If say Rook d8, we've got 95 here, haven't we? If nothing else. No, maybe no. 95 just protects. Rook d8's hopeless, isn't it? Actually,
you can just queen e5 is just winning.
Yeah.
Positionally, but what I was just spotting is if Black takes here, this was the first concern here, because I mean the knight is hanging on f3.
Yeah.
And if you play something like this, it's a bit embarrassing.
Mate on h2.
Yeah. So, but you can just simply recapture. It's also nice.
Oh wow! Yes.
Yeah, because you can play like this. And just winning. You've got an extra pawn and everything's hanging.
Yeah.
c6 hangs and whatever. So white is just winning here. Very nice. So black cannot even take on g3, or at least it doesn't bring him any benefits. And so white will get this pawn back on e5.
Yes.
And it's not like getting back. He's just winning it. Yeah, he's got an extra pawn.
Yeah, the central pawns are just waiting, aren't they, to lust to expand, as Fischer say.
Yeah, it's a very nice. I think we could just advance a couple of moves, and then we see the kind of setup that arises, which is very nice.
Tries to generate counterplay a5, but it's not brilliant. We've got two connected pass pawns here. Okay, c5.
Yeah. And what is very nice here, white's only small weakness here is the d pawn.
Yeah.
And it's so nicely protected by the knight on e5, which is at the moment not so easy to get away here. Black may come up with the king, like this here. But for the moment, this weakness is nicely protected, and black has got this weakness on c6 also, which he just advanced to c5. But this is new weakness on c5.
But he had to do that because otherwise, if white plays d4, is that the idea? D4 was going to be strong otherwise, as well.
I just take c6.
We'll just take on c6. Sorry. Yeah.
Just take this thing.
Yes.
Yeah, you cannot cover it. Yeah, rook c8, rook c1, and that's it.
Rook c8, rook c1. Yeah. So c5 here would be a problem. Here you just play. What would you play here?
Take c5, f4, and win the endgame.
All right, yeah.
I think.
Or maybe even d4.
I mean, just
no, not d4.
No, just play simple chess.
All right, and this pawn's weak. Yeah,
This thing is just gone.
Yeah.
Like this here.
Ah, that's.
I'm in time to capture the pawn.
Yeah.
And black it doesn't have any counterplay because this knight on e5 is such a big piece. If you look, like let's say you give the check, the knight is covering g4 and everything, so black just has nothing here.
Yeah.
Very nice. So I think he needs to advance this pawn.
Yeah.
As he did in the game. C5 takes, take.
And now this pawn is still vulnerable here in this position.
Yeah, you've got two weak pawns, F4 and C5, and yeah, White's knight is so nice on D5 to protect D3.
Okay, this is providing a C4 resource, maybe if King F3. There's C4.
Yeah, Black wants to get yeah, C4 would be strong.
But he plays it anyway.
Yeah, I think maybe you have no alternative, and this is just concretely winning, I guess. If you get D3 now.
Yeah. So he's still got the two connected passed pawns. Okay, and he doesn't mind giving up this because these two should be stronger than that one. So I think that's what happens soon. Oh no, he doesn't give up that. Pardon me. Jumping ahead. So he's 2 pawns up for not much compensation here. Now he's giving up H2. Pardon me. Now he's giving up H2 for these two versus this one.
Yeah, the two versus one, of course, a huge advantage, but also very important is yeah, White's king on F4 is just much better than Black's on H8.
Yeah.
The king is actively helping those pawns to go forward, so this should be lost really.
Yeah, there's a very neat aesthetic to this game, isn't there? It's like a fantastic demonstration of the power of the reverse Sicilian dragon.
Yeah, maybe I think, but Black I think was in a way, I'm not sure, because really it's just like you, I just looked at this game
Yeah.
while we're doing the comments here, and I don't really feel like doing too much criticism without
Yeah.
looking at it. But I really don't think that Black was in any trouble or something. It's hard to imagine.
Yeah.
Maybe he overdid it a bit with this F4 stuff.
Yeah,
F4 and
F4,
G5, G5, Bishop D7. This was a nice shot.
Yeah.
And maybe this was just yeah, a bit too hasty, and you need to prepare it more. Just speculation, but it looked like maybe Black was expanding yeah, a bit too quickly and was left with weaknesses that White could nicely exploit here with this counter sacrifice on C6. Okay, but we are getting at a rook endgame now.
Which is played on a bit, just to prove these pawns are pretty dangerous. Check. And okay, the pawns march on.
Also, White's king, as I mentioned, is actively helping.
Yeah.
And yeah, this should be a pretty easy win, because Black cannot really do much, because White's king is always also in front of the pawns, so the pawns here cover against any possible checks here. So this H pawn is really a liability for Black.
Yeah.
The rook always needs to stay there to cover this, and it's just over. But what can you do?
So check. Oh, the king goes back there for a moment. Then he goes. Alright, so E6 is now a very strong pawn. Ah, rook G2, still cutting the king off here.
Yeah, and attacking the H pawn, and now, yeah, this H pawn just gets lost.
Alright, yeah. Because if king H7, you just play E7, so Black resigned here. If king H7, you just play E7, so Nakamura resigned here.
Yeah, it was the endgame was easy at the end. Yeah, I think it's somewhere around move 20, 22, where maybe Black did something wrong here. Maybe instead of a complete recap, just maybe go back quickly to this critical position.
Yeah.
I think around move 20, 22 or something.
So he had reinforcement of the D4 square here.
Yeah, I don't think really, this position should be okay for Black. It's hard to. I mean, it's also shown that. It also shows that Aronian was repeating moves here. So.
Oh yeah, with the knight retreat.
Yeah.
So it looks solid enough for Black, doesn't it? He's eyeing that D4, which is like White's Achilles heel in theory, with this structure.
Yeah.
So Black just overdid it. One move, allowing this very powerful positional sacrifice.
Maybe F4 was too. Yeah, was a bit premature, maybe.
I say sacrifice because bishops are usually worth more than knights. So a tiny bit. But here it's...
yeah.
But this knight d5, yeah, it's really dangerous, this bishop on the diagonal. And this b6 is liable. And so this was beautiful though, this idea, yeah, this bishop d7. So winning the exchange with the idea of sacrificing the exchange is very novel. It clears all the complications away if you win the exchange and then sack the exchange back.
Yeah, this is a very elegant way to finish this. Also, I must say, moving queens in the corner is one of my favorite moves. So
yeah, it's elegant, isn't it? Queen a1,
yeah, it's
hypermodern.
very nice, to just win this big central pawn on e5.
Yeah, amazing. And then the pawn mass later is logically gonna win the game.
Yeah, because the knight on e5 is so strong. Very nicely done, I think. But Nakamura really, I'm not sure, maybe this f4 or one move later, f4, g5, somewhere around there, I think things must have gone terribly wrong before. Black shouldn't be really in huge problems or any problems at all. I'm quite sure. I didn't read any player statements or press conference or whatever. I think they do those press conferences after the game, similar to the World Championship match, and this is often interesting, I think, to get pretty close insight from the players right after the game. How they assess the position. So, but we don't have this information yet. But I don't really think that Black should have been worse, like on move 20 or so. On move 19, let's say f4, I have my doubts.
Okay.
At least looking at the game.
I think I better go to dinner before I get murdered. So I think should we wrap it up there? Thanks, Chris. Yeah.
Yeah, I think let's check in the coming days. For more interesting games, and maybe we will cover one daily. Not sure how we manage, and we will check if there are interesting games to show. Then we'll bring it up on our channels. Yeah.
Okay. I hope everyone enjoyed it on YouTube. Comments or questions on both our channels, King's Crusher and Chess Explained. Thanks very much.